Hi, here's an overview, an updated overview from our first chapter of Online Marketing Bible. Social strategy. No company, big or small, should start or even continue their social strategy without stepping through these 9 steps and making sure that they are on the right track. This will help you improve your business goals, increase your return on investment. You really need to understand these social strategies and walk through them before you do anything on social media for your company. So first you want to identify what is your online purpose. That's critical. And then from that purpose, take keywords and list your keywords, 5 or 10 keywords. What are your keywords? Could be 3 keywords. Just list your keywords. And they are driven by your purpose. Then select your target audience. Who is it that you're actually going to want to engage with you or to act on your post? Who is it you're trying to target online? Then choose the platforms where you're going to find these targeted people. And now decide how you're going to measure success. So these first 5 steps are your strategy. You need to create these first 5 steps in your strategy. And now you need to continue to implement. But the first time you do this 9 steps, it's all part of your marketing strategy. And then once a month you're going to continue. Let me show you what I mean. So you're going to, after you know how you're measuring your success, you're going to continue with identifying where are you going to get your material which matches your purpose, uses your keywords, would be appealing to your target audience, is shareable on your platforms, and allows you to achieve the measures you want. So where does these material come from? And then you need to assign a coordinator. Is it internal? Is it external? Who is going to be accountable for taking this material and distributing it appropriately with the right tools, the right techniques through your different social platforms? And then who are your industry influencers? This is huge. If you are trying to grow, 78% of all your growth happens when an influencer shares your material online. So you need to know who those influencers, whether they're the media, whether it's an industry expert, who's your influencers. And then plan your calendar. When are you going to be tweeting out that week, that month? What are you going to be tweeting out? How often? Or Facebooking or LinkedIn. How often? And you've got to make sure that it complements your traditional media efforts. If you have radio or if you have any television or print going on, you then have your social media complement all that. And then finally, go back to measuring what happened the last month, identifying your materials for the following month, making sure your coordinator is comfortable with what's going on, then identifying your influencers. Look at those influencers who you targeted this past month, how effective were they, and who might be some new influencers you'll target. Put it into your calendar. So the blue part of this you do once a month. The entire 9 steps you do every 6 months or at least once a year. So you want to step through. So let's look at purpose. Here's some 5 main purposes. You've got, you want to be the go-to person, the expert on specific topics. So if that's the key, list those topics. That drives your keywords. Or maybe you want to increase, another purpose is to increase traffic to your website. But you still need to think, what are people searching for when they're looking for material on my site? That drives your keywords. Or perhaps you're trying to improve communications between your staff, volunteers, and your suppliers. Okay, well, what keywords will they be using if you want to be part of that conversation? Perhaps you want to complement traditional customer service. Okay, so if your customer service is right now telephone, perhaps you want to complement that for people and let them know that they can ask you questions perhaps through Twitter. Excuse me. And then you want to enable existing clients or donors to share experiences which turn into increase or drive donations. What do I mean by that? So you have existing clients, they have experiences. If they share their experiences, that's trusted more than you saying, clients love my product. If a client says, I love this product, or if you are a cause and you're trying to get funds and someone is saying, I've just donated to this cause because they just are blah, blah, they're amazing. Well, more people are going to take an action for themselves based on that than if you keep on saying, please give me money. So you really want to be able to gather experiences, and somehow maybe one of your purposes is to enable your clients or your donors to share their experiences through your social media, which means to fulfill that purpose, you need to be listening online for when they share your information. So that way you need to give them a hashtag or let them know what your handles are so that you can listen, grab their information, and share it out as well. So those are definitely 5 of the main purposes we're seeing. So once your purposes are identified, then you need to clearly identify your keywords. From the purpose, your purpose is driven by keywords. Sorry, your keywords are driven by purpose. I just noticed that these are off. I don't think I can. Oh, can I fix them? No. Oh well. Okay. So I just noticed that my Camtasia wasn't centered, so I just fixed it a little bit. Sorry about that. So let's just go back. So your purpose, once identified, drives your keywords. Keywords are critical. Anything you do online is like a matchmaking system through a search engine. So if the keywords aren't there, and that's what your target audience is searching for, and you're not using those keywords, you won't be found. So keywords are critical. Once you know your keywords, you use them in your posts, you use them in your tweets, use them on your website, you use them as categories to define your blog, you use them all over the place. There's a tool, the Google AdWords tool for keywords, which I'll show you. As soon as I work with a client and we identify what their purpose is, the next step is to take those purpose, turn them into keywords, run them through this tool, and see which keywords are searched for more or less in their specific target area, and then you start using those keywords. So let's see what I mean by that. So here's an example. Sorry, one moment, then we'll get to the example. So as I said, you use those keywords in titles and websites, in naming your images even, keyword areas, and this is the tool, google.adwords.keywords tool. So keyword tools. So in this tool, what you do is you indicate the phrase or word that you'd like to investigate to see how many people are searching for that in your target area every month. So if you find that you use a word that not many people are searching for, but they're searching for another similar word, then you should be using that other similar keyword that's getting more searches, so you'll get found more often. Okay, so let's just use this example. Farm fuel, perhaps you're selling farm fuel in the Ottawa area. So you put in farm fuel, you put in the area, you can put in some other indicators, but let's just use those 2 for now. So then it comes up and you can actually look at the map. Say, okay, you know what, it's also Gatineau. I want to increase this a little bit. Maybe it's also Perth. So you can increase this so that it maps through the area you like. So again, you have your area, and then you have your keywords. And so it comes up and shows you every month how often those keywords are being searched for per month by humans in that specific geographic area. Very powerful. Even more powerful is you can click on average month searches, and it searches from it sorts it then from highest to lowest for you, saying, okay, farm is searched for more often, farm prices is searched for often, or sorry, fuel prices is searched for very often. So you can then decide, you know what, I better use fuel prices because, or do I want to just stick to farm fuel because those people really want my product. So you need to decide. You can tell by looking at the keyword, perhaps one is better than the other. I found that often with some clients that will look at this and they'll say, okay, yeah, they're right. My clients do search for this word more often than the word I was just using, and I'm going to use that word instead. And they then increase their effectiveness online. So once you do that, you can scroll over this little thing that looks like a graph, and it tells you for that specific word which months people are searching for and how often in every month they're searching for it. So some words are seasonal, so you just want to remember that. So there's keywords, and there's something called hashtags. Hashtags is when there's a community of interest talking about a specific term. You don't want to overuse hashtags in your tweets. It's not professional. Hashtag's not something you smoke. Hashtag is something that smokes out new prospects. It puts you part of a community. So if you are a product, or if you're a industry expert on a certain word, put a number sign in front of it and search for that hashtag and see if others are talking about it and if it's something that you should be a part of. So therefore, when you use that hashtag and someone searches for it, your tweets will come up even if they're not following you. It's very powerful. So again, you want to look at it, and there's different types of hashtags. There's hashtags that are location sensitive, like number sign or hashtag HamONT. That's everything going on in Hamilton. So if you wanted to know what's going on in Hamilton, or if your desired outcome was to be known about anything to do with food in Hamilton, you would do a hashtag HamiltonONT, see if anyone's talking about food, and decide if they're a partner, or if they make sense for you to perhaps retweet, reply, or share their information to your followers. So it makes you part and supportive of your community. Another type of hashtag isn't exactly everything location based, but this one is for Sen. So anyone talking about the Senators hockey team in Ottawa, they have a hashtag, number sign SENS, and if you search on it, you'll find anyone talking about them, and you can join that conversation, retweet it, or share it. So again, your hashtag could be a global conversation that's already going on. Say you want to find out more about a certain type of flowers, so you put in hashtag whatever that flower name is, and you've got everyone around the world talking about that flower, and you can add information about it if you want to be an expert in it, or if you're just looking to search. So hashtags are important for specific reasons, and you'll know, of course, on our course, our hashtag for our course is # Online Marketing Bible. I'll be sending out questions on that on Twitter using online marketing, hashtag Online Marketing Bible, and you'll be wanting to listen for it, or simply just follow me, and all of my posts will show up on your home, and you'll be able to answer them. But if you want to go back and see if you've missed anything, just search for # Online Marketing Bible on Twitter, and you can see if you've missed anything. But again, Twitter is for in the now. You don't want to go back 3 weeks and answer questions that were asked 3 weeks ago. You want to answer questions as they're happening in real time, within a couple hours, a few hours of the question being asked, so that you're in the conversation. But hashtags online, it's to be involved online in Twitter or in Instagram in a immediate fashion, so you're part of a community or part of a conversation. So also what happens is each one of these different platforms, you get a unique identifier. So in Twitter, whatever your username is, if you put @ in front of your username, that becomes your handle. So my handle is @SophieAndrell. A username on its own is just a username. That's what you use to log in. But with the @ it becomes your handle, very important. So people need to know what your handle is. They rarely can figure it out on their own, because handles are only 14 characters long. They have to be unique. So you need to share with people what your handles are. From your website to get to your Twitter account, on the little T, the hyperlink to your Twitter account is twitter.com/your username. So whatever that happens to be. On Facebook, you also have a unique name. It's facebook.com/whatever your unique name is. You can only change that once. You got to be very careful that you choose one that you like, that's good for your branding. Because often what you end up doing is putting it on signs, // the unique name, and then you'll put also @ and your handle. So if they're too different, it's difficult to remember. It's best when you can get them both to be the same. YouTube, it's youtube.com/your username for your channel. LinkedIn, actually this is wrong. It should be linkedin.com/in/ your unique name. Pinterest is also wrong. You can see I've missed the .com in LinkedIn and in Pinterest, but it's pinterest.com/your username. So again, you need to share these with people. A lot of people do the mistake of follow me on Facebook or Twitter. They'll do it in print, but no one could ever find their handles. You need to actually spell it out for them. Those are your unique identifiers, and again, if you want to start a hashtag, you need to tell people what your hashtag is, or if you want to be part of a hashtag, or if you want people to know your public and your staff, specifically your staff. You don't know how many stores I go into or restaurants and I say, wow, this is fantastic. You guys have a Twitter handle? And they'll say, oh yeah, well what is it? No, I don't know. So I can't share out that I'm having the most excellent experience ever. So target audience. So now you know what your purpose is, drives your keywords, and okay, so you know your purpose, you know your keywords. Well, who am I talking to? So there's 6 traditional ways to identify your target audience. There's where are they, how old are they, what sex are they, what marital status are they, what specific industries, or sorry, interests or industries are they interested in? So are they runners, are they moms? So what's their specific interests, and what's their income level? That's traditionally how you, in a nutshell, identify your demographics or your target market, whether it's online or whether it's any target market. So in essence, when you've got your audience, now you can say, okay, so where would my audience be? So the general rule of thumb that Twitter is a younger audience. However, you'll be able to tell in your community by doing some searches on Twitter who's on Twitter. I know for a fact Peterborough, Ontario is a heavy Twitter location, and that average age is higher than 30. But the average age on Twitter used to be 39, and it's gone in globally down under 30 now. Facebook's average age is around 38. The largest demographic growing on Facebook, the quickest, is women between 55 and 65. They like to keep the family together, and they like to follow up with friends and family. LinkedIn is used by business people. If you have a CEO or a president who's going to be on one social media platform, they often use LinkedIn over any of the others. Average household income on LinkedIn is higher than the others. Pinterest is mostly women. So LinkedIn is 80% women, and their average age is evenly spread between 25 and 55. It's actually getting younger as well. And then Google Plus is used by mainly high-tech folks in their mid-20s. And I don't even have Instagram and some others on here, but it doesn't mean they're not important. They could be very important. For the business you're working with, it could be that perhaps Instagram is the most important because their target audience is on it. It could be that it's very visual. Instagram is also driven by hashtags. Perhaps you have a service that's being talked about all the time on Instagram, so you want to join that conversation, take pictures of your service, and join that conversation. So just to make a point, your target market, different ages, different sexes, different geographies, they talk about different things. I have a whole chapter coming up on how to work with different ages and sexes, but this is the kind of stuff we'll talk about there. This is more things we'll talk about on that whole chapter, where people are spending their time, how much time they're spending, if they're on email or if they're on social media, and what age groups are on different social media. So there's a whole chapter that will go over all of this in a later chapter, as I said. So now that we know our purpose, we know our keywords, we know our target audience, and again we have a whole chapter on that. Now it's online tools. So which social media tools are you going to use? I'm calling them online tools. I mean online social media tools. Which ones are you going to use? Definitely a website. That's critical. You own the website. It's not like they're going to start charging you to post on your website. You own your website. You've created it. It's your URL, sophieandrell.com. No one's going to take it away from you. Of course, you got to pay your $12 a year for it. You've got to pay someone to host it. That's not going to change. But Facebook, as a distribution channel, now on their, when you post on your business Facebook page, they suppress 90% of all business posts. So you have to pay to boost your posts. So you don't own that property. You're in someone else's sandbox, as they say. So you can use it because perhaps all your target clients are on there and it's effective for you, but it doesn't mean that should be your main source of communications online. Your website is where you want people to come to. You got to think of creative ways. How do I create a new blog and make it really, put the right keywords in it so people find it? Also, maybe your target audience is on Twitter, so you distribute it through Twitter, kind of write a headline on Twitter, mention a couple giants, and link back to your site so you start getting more traffic back to your site. So this is the kind of stuff that you're looking at. So what platforms are you going to use? And see that these are the most popular ones. And I would add Instagram to this as well, and a few others. And so the platforms are, there's different reasons to use the platforms. Really, it's like, what's your business need, okay, or what's your purpose on the one column, and then the other column is which platform will help you achieve that purpose. So the business benefit or the business need on the left side, I want to showcase my products and services. I really need to showcase them more right now. I need to get them online. Okay, you need a good website that's Google friendly, that's search engine friendly, that you can showcase your products and services. Or perhaps you want to use Pinterest to showcase your products and services and link people back to your website. Or perhaps you want a blog. So you got to think about, okay, so what's my business need? What's my business benefit I'm trying to get? What is my online purpose? Sharing news. I want to be sharing news all the time. I've got the ability to write and I want to share this news. Well, blog is a great way to capture all your news. I want to attract new prospects. I really want to go and search for new clients. I want to be able to search for presidents, and I want to be able to search for various companies online. Well, LinkedIn is obviously the business tool for that, the online tool for that. I want to showcase my community engagement. I've just involved in a Humane Society fundraiser, or I want to show that my company is a real human. It does some really cool stuff, so I want to showcase that. And perhaps you do that through Facebook with photos. You do that with Twitter through your online engagement during the event. Maybe you want to display photos of past events. Again, that would be perhaps through Facebook. Generate buzz during an event. That's definitely through Facebook and Instagram, actually. Showcase visual products. Showcase your products visually. I've got a product. It happens to be a resort, so there's a lot of beautiful sunsets. There's some gorgeous things going on. Well, that would be perfect for Pinterest, Instagram, and actually Facebook, as I said before. Or I want to get found. I really want to get found properly. So you need to understand how to use Google. You need how to use the keywords in your website and all your posts, how it all works together so that you're found. So that's kind of like what's your business need and then the recommended platforms. So now that you know which platforms you're on, now, and I always suggest you roll out one platform every 3 months, or try and improve one platform every 3 months if you already rolled it out. You try to do it all at once, you're not going to sustain it. Measures. So if you can't measure it, it's impossible to know how to improve it. So the measures, powers your CEO, helps you your sales growth, helps you extend your reach. So some ideas of measures is, relevant measures is the number of posts that you put a link in, and they actually click on it and they go back to your site. That's an actual measure. It's a call to action. Click here for more information. You can measure that. Or someone's retweeted photos of whatever you've put out there. Maybe it's a customer appreciation day. Maybe it's an event, and you've got the number of retweets. So that's a relevant measure. Number of website hits that you put out there. So meaning I can look at my Google Analytics, and it's going to tell me how many incoming hits I've had on my site from Facebook compared to Twitter, compared to Google. So I can measure that on a monthly basis and see if I'm increasing on a monthly basis my incoming hits. So there's a number of examples of measures that you want to be familiar with there. Depending on what the business goals are, what they're trying to achieve in their purpose, you apply a measure that makes sense to that purpose. So other examples of measures, very simple ones, increase quality followers. I want followers that are in a specific city, that are of a specific age. That's really specific. So Women's Business Network in Peterborough, we're looking for increased followers of women in Peterborough, not necessarily in Florida, because they're not going to come to our meetings. So increased followers. Our desired outcome is to be the business place that women go to increase their own business, increase their, we're all about business and business women in Peterborough. Bookings online and online reservations, perhaps that's a measure. Simply you happen to be a resort and you want more bookings to come through your social media efforts. They click on that, they go to your site, and they make a reservation. Awesome! So these are examples of 7 specific measures. Measuring engagement of sectors. So perhaps in a specific industry, people are engaging in you. So you've identified a giant in an industry, and you're going to measure how often that giant retweets you compared to another giant in another industry. So that's the kind of stuff that you're talking about. Downloads of PDFs, I didn't talk about that, but you can actually measure how many times a PDF gets downloaded, and perhaps that's how you're going to measure. You know, through January to March, maybe that's when whatever it is you sell is important, and you're trying to increase downloads of PDFs around that time. You've got tips, you've got information, you want people downloading these tips and information. That's part of your measure of success. So there's obviously more of them, but those are the ones I want to talk about now. Increasing traffic to your website, if that's a measure, then you need to know that Facebook is very good at people clicking on the link in a post and redirecting them back to your website. The other ones that are just as good at that are next in line, we don't stumble upon. And then after that, Google, Pinterest, and Twitter, and so forth. So choosing your platforms, again, they need to be directed. Your measure for your platform needs to be completely linked to what your purpose is. So if you want to be known as the expert, or you want to be the person that's advocating a specific topic, then you want the person who's the identified giant in that topic to retweet you. Or if you want to have your social media, the purpose is customer service, then you'd like your redirects from your social media posts to go to your online resources on that topic on your website. Youth delivery programs, perhaps you're trying to deliver programs to the youth, then you would measure success by your youth delivery programs by the number of youth who are engaging in your tweets or your posts. And you can do that with these tools. It tells you how old your followers are, how engaged your followers are. So these are all things that are measurable. In order to measure something, you need to have a CTA, or a call to action. A call to action is click here to do this, click here to do that. For someone to click on something, you can capture that as a measure. If they're just looking at a page and you want them to read something on the lower left, you can't tell if they've read it or not. You need them to click on something. So you can capture a click, you can capture a post, you can capture a retweet, you can capture a link to someone's blog, you can capture when someone buys something. So those are call to actions. So what are the call to actions you want with everything that you do online? That's critical. So this is an example of Google Analytics. It's an older report, but it gives you a summary of some of the important elements of Google Analytics. It shows you how many searches you have per day on your site, but it also shows you, more importantly, how many direct traffic you have, people that knew your website address, referring traffic. When you click on that, it actually lists which sites they came from. Did they come from Facebook? Did they come from Google? Did they come from, sorry, not Google. Did they come from Twitter? Did they come from LinkedIn? Did they come from Pinterest? So it tells you how effective your social media is compared to direct traffic, compared to search engine traffic. So you can see how often are they finding your site through Yahoo or through Google. Then when you click on it, it'll tell you which keywords were they using in those search engines to find your site. Then you can further dig in and see what did they do when they were on your site. Did they bounce, or did they actually click on something, buy some things? So it's very clear. If you see that everyone's coming to your site from Twitter bounces away, but everyone coming to your site from Pinterest stays a while and they actually buy something, that's your target audience that you really want. So there's another tool called Clout, which is very effective. Clout allows you to see how influential you are online. So your business, you put in your Twitter handle, your Facebook business page, your LinkedIn, whatever else you're using on your business, and it sees the engagement that you've had through your social media efforts. So you try to aim for a 50. That's out of 100. You aim for a 50. That's good. And then once you get to a 50, try to keep it above 50. That's when you're powerful. So the score is something that you want to look at if you have a client or your own company. Create a Clout account and then you use that as your benchmark to make sure you're continuously improving your efforts. So this is a measurement tool. They've actually now also added the fact that you can post into the future on Clout. So Clout's now recently, since the book was released actually, which is very recent, Clout is now not only a measurement tool, it's also a management tool. Sprout Social is also a measurement and management tool. So I love their tool because it tells you how old people are on Twitter and how engaged those people are on Twitter with your efforts. It's got some excellent tools. We're going to have a whole chapter on just measurement and management. We're going to talk a lot more about Sprout Social and the other ones. Facebook has its own measurement tools, and they're very powerful on Facebook. You go into as the business Facebook page administrator, and you're able to see which of your posts have been most effective, causing the most reach and the most engagement. So then once a month you look at this, you go, okay, that post caused the most engagement. I should do more of that again. Not the same post, I'm not saying, but the same kind of post, the same kind of post, hopefully driving the same kind of engagement again. So another thing that Clout allows you to measure is it sees and looks and captures for you, summarizes the keywords it sees you using online. So if these aren't the keywords that you meant to use, you need to change what you're writing so that you start talking in those keywords that you meant to use. That's very important. So Clout also tells you the impact you've had on every one of the online tools or social media tools that you've chosen to use. So it's showing that your impact has been higher on Facebook or Twitter or then LinkedIn and so forth. So you can then measure your effort against your impact. So now that you know you've done your strategy piece, now for the first time you're going to look at where are my materials coming from, and then every month you go through and you try and improve on those materials. So where are my materials? Your materials can come from your own employees. They might be taking pictures, they might have stories, they might write a blog, they might have product information, so your own employees. The other place is industry experts. You might be reselling someone's product and they have great material for you to use. So that would be industry experts or global industry experts who aren't in competition with you and you want to share their information. So that would be another way. Another one is your customers. This is the most powerful way, is your customers. So they've just bought your product and they're really excited, or they've just donated something and they're really thrilled about it and they're sharing. You want to get that information, capture it in a video, capture it in a photo or in a testimonial, and share that out there. So you want to do that as source of material. The question is who's going to do it, how are they going to do it, but at least you've now identified another source. Finally, businesses need to have a soul. So you need to share your community involvement. If you have two businesses and they're sharing from their employees, their industry experts, and their customers all the same, but one of those two actually have a pulse or a soul, and they're sharing that their team was just out planting trees, or they were giving back through Rotary, or they were doing some help through a soup kitchen, or they've just helped, the Humane Society, they've done something back for their community. It has shown over and over again that people would prefer to buy from them than the others, or interact with them and engage with them. And so that's important. So these are different sources of material. So the types of material are pretty straightforward. You have text, so just printed material. You have videos, you're taking videos of any of those different materials. You have a blog that you create about that material. You have images, perhaps photos that you've taken, or you're simply looking at someone else's Twitter and Facebook and you're sharing or retweeting their information. So these are different types of material. So you want to kind of mix them up. Actually, images, posts with images or video get a lot more shares than those without. But we have a whole chapter called Online Principles that we get into why, which types of posts work best and when and what time, to who, and all of that. That's a whole Online Principles chapter. So we have a whole chapter on video as well, but in summary, Canadians watch more video per capita than any other country. People will stay on your website 2 minutes longer if you have a video than if not. Posts with videos get shared more often than not. You want to keep Your video is under 2 minutes. If it's a marketing video, people stop watching after 2 minutes. So there's a ton of inexpensive tools out there that you can also use to capture your videos. So finally, okay, now you know where your material is coming from. Well, what are you going to do with it? You have a coordinator. This coordinator does all sorts of things. These two slides talk about everything a coordinator does. They're accountable for the IDs and passwords for all of your social media platforms. Someone in your organization needs to know what those are. Your social media platform IDs and passwords are as important as your banking information. They're also accountable for the monthly measures, those reports, knowing where to get them, how to share them with the leaders in the company or their board members. So they're accountable for that. They're accountable for giving advice based on the outcome of these measures. If this measure keeps on showing, you're putting this link out on Twitter, but no one's clicking on it, so you need to look at it and say, okay, this is how we should improve it. They coordinate the calendar, the social media calendar, so that it's linked to the traditional calendar. They're usually a member of your communications department, if you have one, so that they're the bridge between any radio and television and print communications that are going on. So they make sure that the social media communications matches and supports it, and they support and they talk and they point to each other. So that's really powerful when that's happening. They could also need to work closely with your IT department. It could be that your IT department's the only one that has access to the blog, so they would be uploading the blog. Perhaps you need to have privacy settings changed so you can access social media from your desk, so they need to be in sync with the IT department. They need to continuously improve the quality and grow their followers online. Big thing that they need to do is understand who the influencers are and giants are in their industry, and see who they are, follow them, see what kind of tweets or posts they'll retweet, and try and get their attention. They do all the training to anyone else who's giving them material, and they also get trained themselves ongoing. So these are kind of the 14 possible functions that they do. They successful implementation in keeping track of who the I have a whole chapter in the textbook actually on every role, and there's some roles that are called the coordinator, who's the person that actually does it, the contributors, who are the people that give it to the coordinator, the ambassadors or the influencers, who are the giants out there who will share it out for you and get your message out to the masses. So these are people, so the coordinator needs to keep track of who the contributors are, so they're getting the information in, and who the influencers or ambassadors are, so the information is getting sent out as far as possible. So you kind of want to think of it that way. They are the ones that might attend events and tweet live from events or share photos or videos or capture them. They then need to know how to edit the videos or photos and upload them. They need to, of course, know how to post and tweet. They need to know how to increase their followers by using maybe incentive programs or contests. They need to also, if they have other people who are posting for them, they need to be the center point to continuously improve and watch for anything that's off. If they're getting material from others, from contributors, they need to share with the contributor that this material was nice, but I need this type of material. Like, don't send me PDFs, I can't do anything with it on Facebook or Twitter. I need large JPEGs so they're seen properly. That kind of stuff. Or large images, I meant to say. Ongoing self-training, they train others. They need to know how much budget they have so they can actually put in some Facebook ads. Without Facebook money to boost posts, you may not want to do Facebook. Facebook needs some money. Doesn't need much. $3 a few times a week will get you a long way on Facebook for boosting your Facebook ads. And you may want to have some Google ads, but I prefer Facebook ads. Tracking efforts to success. So you want to make sure that you know that you've done all this Twitter stuff this week and all this Facebook posts. Well, then, was the outcome, were the measures what you wanted? Monitoring for live posts. So if you're in the type of business that you want to reply to something immediately, you need to make sure that you're actually monitoring for live and listening online live through your cell phones so that if someone is tweeting or posting a complaint about something, you can go on it immediately and reply, if that's the type of service you're offering on Twitter. If not, then you don't have to do that. Providing management with the month-to-month results. Less is better. So they need to be able to figure out what the measures are that we already did in an earlier step, and then the coordinator is the one that gathers the measures. So it's a pretty intense job when done properly. So now we're ready for the influencers. So the coordinator needs to identify who the influencers are. If it's a large company, they would be told who the influencers are by the different departments. And then the coordinator would find those influencers online. And they might find that those influencers, even though it's a big industry expert, maybe they don't have any social media presence yet. So they need to check that out and keep an eye on them. So one of my important influencers as a child, I don't know if you remember Friendly Giant, you probably don't, but the key is they've got this huge person online, virtual person online, and they have all of the followers that you'd like to have. They've just got huge followers and huge respect. So if they share something, it's heard a long way, and it's trusted and it's believed. So you want your material sent through them. So you want to try and identify them. 78% of all of your new followers comes from the engagement that happens through one of these giants or influencers. So you really want a high quality trusted influencers retweeting your stuff. Basically, it's someone who they trust is speaking to them. You're going to get heard. So a social media giant has a lot of quality followers. They could be a business association like a Chamber of Commerce. They could be a Trent University. They could be media, so local radio. They could be some sort of television, which is local, or they could be global television. They could be national television, sorry. So there's all sorts of different types of media that exists out there. So where is your target market? Who do they listen to? And then do they have an online social media presence? And then you look at what kind of stuff are they retweeting? Maybe it's celebrities, sports groups, vacation spots, industry experts. So then once you know who they are in the real world, then you look online, you say, okay, so what do they share? Is the kind of stuff that they share the kind of stuff that you can add value to? You can give them some really quality content. So then why would they share your stuff? Because they have a passion for it, they have a sense of pride, they have a desire to help whatever your key word is, or your purpose, or your mandate. And why do they do it? Because it makes them look good. They found some great material, yours, and they're sharing it out to their audience who cares about your business, service, or cause. So those are the kind of things. And basically, how do you know that giant has been successful? Because they've increased the number of their resharing, and their shares and their retweets is causing an increase of traffic to your business. Or that it's causing more people to upload or download your PDFs. And it's really exciting when that giant actually goes to one of your events and live tweets from your event, because that's when you're going to get the most growth, is during a live event. But we have a whole chapter on that as well. So here shows the impact of a giant. You basically start day one and you've uploaded this video, and then all of a sudden a giant gets it. I don't know if you can see the numbers here, but you're up to 10,000 views all of a sudden in a day from zero, because this giant retweeted it. And this is a good TED Talks if you want to see it. So how do you find your influencers? After you do your first round of your purpose and your keywords and so forth, now you basically ask the departments who might their traditional partners or experts be. You look for them, and on a monthly basis you kind of want to review and see if you've missed any. And then what you want to do is you mention them in a post when it's appropriate. We have a whole section on Twitter, and we'll show you what we mean by that. But you also want to, in old-fashioned ways, you can actually call them and let them know that you've just started your Twitter efforts and you'd love their support. What kind of material would they like, and how would they best like to be, why would they share it? What could you do that would help them share it? Sometimes they'll say, yeah, don't worry, I'll just find it, or they'll say, mention me, or they'll say, use this hashtag. And then sometimes if you actually invite them to an event, that would be perfect, and they can share right from the event. If you give them some of your products or services. They might talk about it then as well. So those are some great ideas. So finally, the last step in the 9 steps for your online strategy is a calendar. Your calendar needs to be part of your entire plan. When you look outside, how are people hearing about your products and services? You've got an event coming up over here. You're starting to advertise it at least 3 months ahead of time. And I always say advertise something at least 3 months ahead of time. You start with some information, perhaps a press release in the newspaper, on the radio, and then perhaps start tweeting about it, some Facebook photos, and you get your sponsors, whoever's sponsoring you, to also share it. You get a giant to share it. So you start having all your television and your radio and your print all complementing your social media. So it all works like that. So here's an example that you might have on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, blogging, and YouTube. And you're seeing that Twitter's happening every day, Facebook's happening every day, LinkedIn's happening twice a week, blogs once a week you're creating a blog. Then you're using that blog through your, on Monday you're creating that blog, you're using that link to go out on Twitter on Tuesday, and you're putting it on LinkedIn on Wednesday. So you're seeing how this kind of happens. Then you're loading maybe a video from an event on Sunday, and then use the link to that video. Perhaps you're putting it on your website, and then you're using it from there out on Twitter and on Facebook throughout the week. And you also want to remember to listen in your community. Maybe it's a hashtag, or maybe it's listening to everyone on a Twitter list that you've created, and you retweet those local partners every so often. And that creates your calendar. More specifically, you want to know who will post if you're a larger company. What topics are they posting on? Where will they get their materials from? How often will they post? And how will they measure the success or effectiveness of their post? What measures are they going to use? So here's an example of that. So here's a company who has a chef. It's a spa and resort. They have a chef. Their topic is food. They're going to tweet twice a week. Sorry, they're going to Facebook or tweet, if I recall. It was Facebook twice a week, just photos. Oh, and Twitter, if I recall. And it was on to 10 a.m. Thursday and Fridays. And this is wrong. Their measure is actually how they were going to measure success was people walking in and saying, yes, it was Twitter, walking in and saying, I just saw this, this is why I came in, and they're showing them a picture of the menu, and they'd like to, so they were going to measure success by increased traffic based on the fact that they saw the tweet of what the chef was making that morning at 10 a.m. for lunch that day. Sports directors, they had a sports director that managed team efforts and team sports for business activities. They are saying no one knows about it. So twice a week, Tuesday and Wednesdays at 10 a.m., the sports director is going to share group activities, if he has consent, of course, and then he's going to measure success by more other companies requesting these group activities. Right now they always have to tell people about them, so they're hoping people are going to say, hey, I saw that group activity, we'd like to do the same kind of team building for our company. We have a spa manager at this resort. They're going to every day have a picture or a link to the website about a different special at 2 p.m. every day, Monday to Friday. So you can see there's no conflict, and they're all going through the exact same. They have the exact IDs and passwords for the Facebook and Twitter accounts. They've been taught how to tweet and how to Facebook, and they have their own schedule, their own purpose, and they know how they're measuring success. So that's what I mean by a communication schedule, which is coordinated. Now in this case, they might also have, they do also have ads that are going through the newspaper, and some radio. So that would be coordinated to make sure that their Facebook posts happen the one day and the radio ad happens the next day. So when someone's driving around, they go, yeah, I saw that on Facebook yesterday, and they actually helps them get over the edge and makes the make the purchase. Then the next day they do another Facebook ad based on what the radio ad was on, so they're hitting them 3 times once on, and so you really want to work that way. Radio, 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 Facebook before and Facebook after, or Twitter before and Twitter after, so that you're really leveraging the power of all the mediums working together. I hope that makes sense.